How many unforeseen, if not invisible horrors wait for us in our everyday life? How did a mother and her 1-year-old infant son wind up viciously mauled on their way to school in Alaska this winter? And why didn't authorities appropriately neutralize the unforeseen threat? Today, my friends, let's discuss one of the many real-life horrors lurking right in front of ordinary people, hidden until the moment where they brutally strike. Deep into the tundra of West Alaska lies a village called Wales, home to no more than 160 people on average. Here, in one of the most remote villages in all of America, everyday citizens struggle for even the most basic of needs. People and animals alike struggle to find food, warmth, and shelter from the tumultuous weather conditions which often cut them off from larger communities for days or even weeks on end. Just 16 miles off the coast is an island that belongs to Russia, and just 30 miles beyond that is mainland Siberia. But in January of just this past year, these harrowing conditions became even more deadly. While human beings, Arctic foxes, and several other small woodland creatures routinely mill about the town, so too do much more menacing predators. We are of course talking about the polar bears that cohabit the same small stretch of land which Wales is built upon. Life began as a normal day for 24-year-old Summer Myomick and her infant son Clyde as they made their way to the local schoolhouse. The blizzard on this day in this small town was especially violent, however, as it was said that Summer couldn't see her hand in front of her face as she escorted her son from school. Little did this woman know, however, that lying just mere feet away from her was the most fearsome beast that Alaska has to offer, and it was here that she and her son were mauled by a ferocious polar bear. Members of this community are no strangers to the polar bear at all, and are routinely taught how to avoid them if they were to ever encounter one. But this was not simply a chance encounter. When she arrived at the schoolhouse, she could not see the bear until it was close enough to attack her, and the howling wind masked any of its footsteps or other noises that the bear made. The bear could have stalked her for the entirety of her walk from just a few steps away, and she never would have known about it, known that such a behemoth was watching her so intently. These beasts have evolved over the course of millions of years for just one such occasion. Their ivory fur has slowly melted into a milky white in order to better hide in the snow, and these creatures are intuitive enough to even hide their black noses when stalking their prey. When it first attacked, word spread like a virus, the screams echoing throughout the town. The blinds of the school were immediately closed to shield the children's eyes from such a traumatic event, while teachers and faculty took to the lot with shovels and brooms to beat the monster away from the poor woman. Luckily, the brave staff were able to get the beast off of Summer before she could be killed, and they were able to redirect the bear's attention to them. The massive bear, however, chased them into the schoolhouse, where Principal Don Hendrickson slammed the door and barricaded the staff into the school building, the bear mere feet away from entering into the schoolhouse. Summer and her infant Clyde, however, were still left out in the frigid tundra. The nearest medical center was just 150 yards away and could provide them the life-saving aid that they needed, as well as shelter from the ferocious animal. Just 150 yards, less than 2 football fields, is all it would have taken to reach safety. In a moment of unimaginable fear and suffering from multiple injuries, Summer decided that she had to try. With her 1-year-old in her arms, she made a run for the medical center. The bear, however, had once again disappeared into the surrounding storm. As she ran, it was unclear if the bear had left, if it was still attacking the schoolhouse, or if it was right behind her. She could not spot it through the storm, nor could she hear it over the sound of her own hyperventilation and the torrent of wind that surrounded her. The living nightmare may very well have been a ghost haunting her as a vengeful, disembodied spirit. Perhaps even that would have been more visible. After it severely wounded Summer and Clyde, witnesses claimed that the bear attempted to again enter the school building, although it was unsuccessful. For generations, human beings have sat firmly on top of the food chain, and for a number of very good reasons. Our brains are some of the most complex of any living organism, and small things that we don't think about every day, such as our opposable thumbs, allow us to use our creativity and ingenuity in a way that not many other animals can. There is, however, some animals left on this planet that see humans as prey and will hunt and kill them as a source of food. One of which is the polar bear, one of the only animals left to actually threaten our place on the food chain. In that part of the world especially, the playing ground has been evened, especially with the challenges that humans this far away from civilization face on the day-to-day. If a polar bear is even a bit peckish, it will slaughter a human for food, especially in times when the bears are starving. Polar bears have had to evolve to function off of very little food for prolonged periods of time, so if they are ever faced with a full meal, they will almost certainly leap at the chance to feed. This bear in particular had an entire buffet waiting for him just beyond the schoolhouse walls, and even just one class of children would have been enough to sustain this animal for months on end. Inside the school, the administration was clamoring to find any help that they could find. In the small town of Wales, there is no police force. There is no need for one in a town with just 160 people. Yet the bear continued to seek a way into the building, leaving the teachers to wonder if just the animal's weight alone would be enough to snap the door off of its hinges. If it did, then there was nothing that any of them could have done but run and try to save as many children as possible. As the teachers and faculty rushed to call for help, Summer and her son were making steady progress towards the medical center. She limped along until the bear finally grew bored of trying to enter the school, at which point it tracked down the young mother and mauled the two once again. This marks the first bear attack in nearly 30 years to afflict this part of the country, and Summer and Clyde were killed as an unfortunate result. Their deaths, however, were not the end of the story and the end of the bear. The story finally came to an end when one of the members of the community, who has yet to be identified, arrived with a massive gun and shot the bear as it feasted on Summer's lifeless body. What's important to remember about this terrifying encounter, though, is that the bear did nothing out of malice, nor vengeance, or any sort of discernible personal motivation. It simply sought to feed. It is in fact a bear, and what's important to remember though, is it's exceedingly rare for mankind to find a place in the world where we are back on the food chain. But again, it is not impossible. The story of Summer Myomok is a tragic one, and the idea that she had no idea such a ferocious monster was just a few feet away leaves us to wonder how many other situations could be avoided if only we could see in the dark or the light, sense what dangers just lie a few feet further. If we could only hear just a little bit better, or learn how to better navigate the unruly conditions of Mother Nature. Or rather, it is a quick reminder of our place among nature itself. As a species so often at the top of the food chain, this is a terrible and yet a firm reminder that that food chain can always change. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of the story of Summer and Clyde, and the terrifying monster that lie just beyond view in a blizzard? Where else on Earth are human beings humbled by their presence on the food chain? And what other stories like this would you like to see us cover? Do you like these types of scary stories? And if so, be sure to let us know what else you'd like to see moving forward. Thank you, my friends, for visiting the channel today, and I hope that you're having a great one.